So, hello and welcome everyone to the Buddhist Recovery Network Academy. I am Susanna, joining you from Helsinki, Finland, and I will be your host today. I'm a big fan of Buddhism, recovery, and Buddhist recovery, and I facilitate both 8-step recovery meetings and mindfulness-based addiction recovery courses here in Finland. I'm a member of the board of the Buddhist Recovery Network. And today we have a new academy teaching offered by Vimalasara. The pronouns are they, them. And the topic of the teaching is my journey into recovery and Dharma. And thanks for everybody for being here and being part of our community today. And Dana, all our teachings are given freely, and we are blessed with some amazing teachers like Vimalasara tonight, who have experience on the cushion, experience working with body, speech, and mind, experience in the ongoing practice of recovery by the way of Dharma. As we practice the Buddha's teaching of generosity, we invite you to give dana that will be given to support our ongoing Buddhist recovery network meetings and to support the teacher. You can give on a one-time or recurring basis using the link that will be posted to the chat field. And please be sure to indicate that your donation is for the Academy. And we sincerely thank you for your generosity. And if you forget to mention that it's for the Academy, no worries, because all the donations that come during this program, right after and right before, we will direct them to the Academy. And then I would like to introduce our guest teacher, Vimalasara. And Vimalasara is the former president of BRN, so Buddhist Recovery Network, and an author. A new book, a first aid kit for the mind, it has already been released or is coming. Maybe Vimalasara is
coming
gonna
out next.
yeah, coming out
this year. Okay.
Yes. So we are very excited to have that book in the market soon. And now for the topic of the teaching, and that is bringing the new year in with wisdom. So every day is a new year. And it's an opportunity to do something different because the past has gone. However, so many of us hold onto the past or cling onto a future that hasn't even arrived. Today, we will explore letting go and discovering a freedom in the present moment. Let's leave behind our addictive and compulsive behaviors and face the reality of now. So welcome, Vimalasara. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, my dear friend. So the screen is yours.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you for reading the blurb. It's always like, what's the topic you're going to do? And it's like, now it's like, oh, I'm going to do something different. But okay, but we will focus on this. It's lovely to be in community with friends, to see friends here. It's really wonderful. In fact, I'm going to put my screen on gallery so I can see your beautiful faces. I can get up to um, 50 people on one screen, so you're on two screens. It's very lovely to see you. Happy New Year. So let's take a pause. Wow. Yeah. So let's a pause, a breath. And we'll start with a short practice. Just allowing the self to arrive gently into this portal. There are 92 of us here in community. Yeah. And just feel that, although we're on a flat screen, we are in community with each other. And have the sense of sitting with dignity. Head reaching towards the skies, the heavens, the gods, the ancestors, Whoever you imagine to be above, there is the sky, pointing towards the space above us, and feet pointing towards Mother Earth, our most important ancestor, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is always there to support us and take up space. Each and every one of us was birthed into this world, so take up space with dignity. Body like mountain, strong, firm, and present. Have the sense of your body like a mountain, strong, firm, and present. Heart like the ocean. Just as the waves in an ocean arise and cease, allow your thoughts and feelings to arise and cease. Yes, heart like ocean. Just feel the waves of your thoughts and feelings arising and ceasing. Breath like the wind. The breath is the wind, and the wind is with us moment to moment. So really feel the breath in the body. Really feel the in-breath, the out-breath. Really see if you can enjoy this precious moment. In-breath, out-breath, calm breath, anxious breath, precious moment, present moment, and breathe. A mind like the sky. Just as the sky is wide and open, allow your mind to be wide and open too. And we're going to begin this new year with compassion. So if you haven't already, placing a hand upon your body, anywhere upon your body, and feel the warmth of your own hand. And just know that this warmth of your own hand is you sending compassion towards the self. And breathe. Compassion is sending suffering to the sick, to the unwell, and those of us who have addictive behaviors. There's a part of us that is unwell, and those of us who perhaps have let go of some of those addictive behaviors, we've been in remission, and so we still need the compassion. So send compassion towards the self and breathe. And really see if you can have the sense of breathing in and out through the heart. In breath, out breath, calm breath, anxious breath, precious moment, present moment. In breath, out breath, calm breath, anxious breath, precious moment, present moment. In breath, out breath, calm breath, anxious breath, precious moment, present moment. In breath, out breath, calm breath, anxious breath, precious moment, present moment. Heart like the ocean, allow your thoughts and feelings and emotions to arise and cease like the waves in an ocean. And taking a deep breath in and expanding the breathing throughout the whole body. Taking a deep breath in and expanding the breathing throughout the whole body. And just thanking yourself for being here. You chose to be here. Yeah, you chose to be here, so thank yourself. Yeah. Okay. Welcome. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so we are focusing on compassion. While I was reflecting on this new year and on the topic that I said that I would share with you, I wanted to really think about how do we let go of the past? And I wondered what would be the best antidote to explore letting go and discovering freedom in the present moment. How best would it be to leave behind addictive and compulsive behaviors? And it was compassion that came to me, compassion that beamed down through my crown chakra into my whole body. So today I'm going to talk about compassion. Yeah. We know that many people don't actually step onto the path of recovery because they have so much self-hatred towards themselves, because they hold on to the past. Those of you who are in the rooms of 12 steps know that phrase, the wreckage of the past. And for some people, it feels so insurmountable to move beyond the wreckage of the past. But to be able to move beyond the wreckage of the past, we need compassion. And we all know that this human form will bring suffering. And all of us are going to experience greed, hatred, and delusion. Yeah. And all of us who have addictive and compulsive behaviors, we would have experienced greed, and we would have experienced hatred, and we would have experienced delusion, which is seen as the three poisons or the karmic defects of the human life. And I want to quote from the late Martin Luther King, because the contemporary version of these three poisons, Martin Luther King talks about militarism, racism, and poverty. And we know that all of these, militarism, racism, and poverty, that addictions and compulsive behaviors are going to be part of these three poisons. Yeah. So, compassion. Firstly, let's look at what is the difference between metta and compassion, because often it does get a bit confused. Often metta, when people talk about metta, they're actually referring to compassion. And of course, metta and compassion are interconnected. They're not really separate. They're part of the same coin. And so when we're practicing metta, we're really wishing for people to be happy. Yeah. We're wishing for people to have some kind of contentment. Metta is sometimes described as unconditional loving kindness, but actually also when we sometimes call metta maitri bhavana, metta bhavana. And in a way I quite like that, because that distinction is unlimited friendliness. Yeah, we're wanting unlimited friendliness. And also we're in that practice, we're sending loving kindness to an enemy of the mind, to people who we find difficult. And with the compassion, we're sending compassion to unwell people, to sick people. Yeah. We're sending compassion to those who are suffering in the hell realm of addiction. And I want to call upon the bodhisattva of compassion, Kshitigarbha. There are many bodhisattvas, and many of us know of Avalokiteshvara and Kuan Yin. But Kshitigarbha is a particular bodhisattva, because this bodhisattva works in the hell realms and pulls us out of the hell realms. That is the job of Kshitigarbha, which is, I think, is spelled Ksitigarba, Kshitigarbha. So just really calling to mind this bodhisattva, that their work is pulling people out of that hell realm, pulling people out of the hungry ghost realm. And those of us who have had addictive and compulsive behaviors, those of you who are still acting out in those addictive and compulsive behaviors, we need to be pulled out of those hell realms. Okay. So it's just some definitions of compassion. If we want compassion, we have to practice compassion. So again, if we're going to let go of the past, we have to begin practicing self-compassion now. You know, when we think of the practice of compassion, it comes from a group of practices called the Brahma Viharas, the sublime abodes. And I like the four immeasurables, because these practices are immeasurable. And it's really hard to practice compassion. But in each of these practices, we always begin with ourselves first. We have to begin with ourselves first. If we want to give compassion to others, we need to touch our own suffering, because we're not separate. We have to remember that. You know, we can tend to think that when we have these addictions and these compulsive behaviors, and I speak in the I, when I used to think, not when, I used to think that I was the only person suffering, that I was the only person struggling, that there was something deeply, deeply wrong with me. And actually the Buddhist teachings taught me that there was nothing wrong with me, because basically that first noble truth is that there is suffering, that we all gonna suffer. We are gonna suffer. Once we are born into this world, we are going to suffer. And yes, of course, we know that these addictive and compulsive behaviors can be a matter of life and death. Yeah, we do know that it's on a continuum. Yeah, but we all do suffer. We're not separate, and there's nothing wrong with us. The question is, or the statement is, what happened to us? Yeah, and in a way, we have to know what happened to us so that we can let go of the past. In fact, Dogen comes to mind when I think of that. Dogen, who was a 9th century Buddhist teacher, said, to study the Buddha way, one has to study the self. So we have to, it's not like we have to forget about the self. We have to get to know the self. To study the Buddha way is to study the self. And when we study the self, we can begin to let go of the self. We'll talk a bit more about that. And when we let go of the self, we can be illuminated by a myriad of things. We can be illuminated by freedom. But to have freedom, we have to practice compassion. Yeah. Sometimes compassion is seen as two wings of the bird, compassion and wisdom. Yeah. So we can't just have compassion. Compassion is imbued with wisdom. So love and compassion. So we have metta here, are essentials. They're not luxuries. Yeah. We cannot survive without them. Each and every one of you who is here had somebody who believed in you somewhere, somebody who offered you something. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. And it might have been a moment, and I'm not talking about your parents or whatever, but there was somebody in your life, could have been a friend, who extended a hand. Yeah, that's why we're here. Some people don't make it. Okay, so I want to, I was in conversation with Sharon Salzberg last week, and she reminded me that compassion is the trembling of the heart. Yeah. And how often do we experience a trembling of the heart? It's not possible to experience a trembling of the heart if we are covering up the heart. We're covering up the heart mind with our addictive and compulsive behaviors. If we're covering up the heart mind with our stinking thinking, it's not possible to connect to the trembling of the heart. Yeah. And maybe we can have a moment today. Yeah, just a moment of connecting with the trembling of the heart. What would it be like? Just take a moment to place a hand on your heart and breathe into the heart. See if you can just take a moment to connect to the heart. And breathe. Yeah. So there are several types of compassion. And when we access immeasurable compassion, there will be the experience of the trembling of the heart. This compassion doesn't leave anybody out. It extends in all directions. Yeah. And that is the wish of the Bodhisattva, the wish of Kshitigarbha. Yeah. For all beings to be free of suffering. It's the wish of Avalokiteshvara. For all beings to be free of suffering. May we all be free of suffering. And that can seem like a huge word to be free of suffering. And so to bring it back down to every day, I could say, even if we could be free of the stinking thinking, even if we could be free of the even if we could be free, I just dropped my bell ringer there. That was the sound there. But even if we could be free of the proliferation of thought, okay, that would be the beginning of the end of suffering. Yeah. You know, just think about how often we get caught in this thinking, in this stinking thinking, this thought. Yeah. Great compassion. Yeah. This arises out of wisdom, out of the paramitas. It's, yeah. And actually, if we could feel, when it's this feel towards disgust around our own suffering, I want to call in a teaching, the Vimalasara teaching, which is 5 ways to work with distracting thoughts. And one of the ways that the Buddha talks about letting go of past thoughts is this disgust. The Buddha uses the image of wearing a rotting carcass around our neck. Imagine if you was wearing a rotting carcass around your neck. You would be disgusted. Yeah. Imagine if you was wearing, you know, your poop around your neck. You would have so much repulsion. And that's what we're doing when we're identifying with all this stinking thinking. Yeah. And how we can begin to have some repulsion and disgust towards the stinking thinking. Yeah. So again, the Bodhisattvas, Kuan Yin, Kshitigarbha, Avalokiteshvara, Green Tara. Yeah, there are many. We can't do it alone, which is why it's wonderful that we are here in community, 96 of you here in community, practicing together. But I want to focus on ordinary compassion. Yeah, ordinary compassion. Because this is the place where we begin. This is the place that compassion needs to begin. Yeah. This is a place where we can have sympathy, and this includes people in poverty, natural disasters, homelessness, and addiction. How can we begin to have compassion towards ourselves? Yeah. Compassion towards ourselves. It's very important. Compassion is the work of the heart. It's not the work of the head. We don't think compassion, we feel compassion. So again, just see if you can touch into compassion right now and feel compassion towards yourself. Each and every one of you here on this call has suffered. Every single one of you here on this call has suffered. So let's see if you can touch into some compassion. It's not something that's outside of us. Compassion blows within us. And there are, why don't we practice compassion? There are near and far enemies of compassion. Sometimes we think we're being compassionate, but we're actually not being compassionate. Yeah. And we need to be aware of this. So pity is an enemy of compassion. Yeah. And so self-pity is an enemy of compassion. How will self-pity help us? And it's a classical way for us to turn away from experience. It stops us from moving on. It stops us from moving from the past. We're unable to let go of the past. Yeah. When we hold on to self-pity. Yeah. Another enemy of compassion is hatred, self-hatred. Yeah. And many of us on the path of recovery, even if we've managed to move into harm reduction, even if we've managed to move into abstinence, even if we've managed to be on that path of recovery, we can still be carrying a truckload of self-hatred. And self-hatred is the opposite of what we want to achieve. How can we have compassion when we have self-hatred towards ourselves? Yeah. And I know self-hatred is a strong word, but you know, if you carry resentment or bitterness or frustration, yeah, these are all forms of hatred, all forms of self-hatred. We can get frustrated with ourselves, we can resent the past, and it will keep us in the hell realm of addiction. It will keep us in that hungry ghost realm of addiction and compulsive behaviors. So sometimes people talk about the 4 pillars of compassion. So again, it's important for us to touch into our own suffering. And when we touch into our own suffering, you really will experience a trembling of the heart. You really will experience the quivering of the heart. Yeah. And to do that, we need to have some empathy. We need to attune to ourselves so that we can meet our heart, where we can begin to understand our conditioning and become aware of the story. Yeah. Also, we need to acknowledge that, you know, many of us have lost things in this life, and we need to have some sympathy towards that, offer condolences towards ourselves. And the big thing is forgiveness. Yeah. And it can be enough if we're able to let go of hatred, if we can begin to let go of despising and resenting ourselves, we are moving into some forgiveness. So we need all of this to practice self-compassion and to let go of the past. I just want to kind of really end with talking about fierce compassion. Fierce compassion comes out of the social justice movement, but actually fierce compassion is what we need if we are going to let go of the past and really step onto that path of recovery. Yeah. Because we can become complacent. I know there's still, you know, a couple of things that I might struggle with. Oh, I can't be bothered. Oh, I get lazy. Oh, tomorrow. We just get complacent. Yeah. So we have to be tender, but we got to have some fierceness too. Yeah. Yeah. So again, that tender compassion is important. How can we connect to that inner child? Yeah. That all of us have this inner child. How can we connect to that young being, which may have been many, many years ago, who didn't get the love, who didn't get the compassion that it needed? How can we begin to protect that child? How can we be a parent to that inner child? Yeah, because we need to parent that inner child. And the fierce compassion, we have to begin to take action. And taking action is stepping onto the path of recovery, is setting boundaries. And in the context of Buddhism, we set the boundaries by guarding the sense doors. And what I mean by guarding the sense doors, it may mean that you might not be able to go to a restaurant for a year or so if you're struggling with food. It may mean you might not be able to be on the internet for a year or so if you're struggling with porn. It may mean you might not be able to go to bars or parties or whatever if there's alcohol there, if you're struggling with alcohol. It may mean you might not be able to be on the internet if you're struggling with gaming. Yeah, this is what we mean by guarding the sense doors, setting boundaries. I did, when I moved into recovery over 20 years ago, my job, was about going to private views, going to parties. It was all about the dinners and everything. And I had to stop doing that because there was alcohol, there was food, there was drugs, there was everything there. And I had to ban myself for a year. I had to guard the sense doors so that I could build some resilience. I had to begin to say no. Yeah. Okay. So fierceness without tenderness can become aggressive and hostile. So it's not like we have to forget about the tenderness. Yeah. We need both. And I'll end with here. It's described as a bear protecting the cub when threatened. And just know, whenever we're activated, it's the cub within us that's being threatened. Whenever we're triggered, it's the inner child within us that's being threatened. And we need to step in to protect it. And often what we do to protect it is we move to our compulsive and addictive behaviors. Yeah. And we don't let go of the past. And we have to learn to protect that cub within us. We have to learn to protect that inner child within us with compassion. Okay, so I'll stop there. So we have 10 minutes for questions. I'm so sorry I can't stay to the end. I'm actually double booked. I'm leading meditation down the road from me, so I have to get there to lead meditation. But any questions? Yeah, compassion. I really hope that some of you were able to feel some compassion towards the self. As I look at each and every one of you now, I'm experiencing compassion. And just as I was just sharing that, yeah, at moments I felt and experienced the quivering and the trembling of my own heart, reminding me to give myself some compassion. Yeah.
Thank you, Vimalasara. It was so beautiful. I'm so touched by your words. And I can see that there are a lot of smiling faces as well. So if you want to ask something from Vimalasara, there is a good chance now. We still have a few minutes that they're going to be here with us. So, or you can just open the mic. So if there is, oh, there's Dan asking, do you see in the chat?
Do you think the engaging in addictive compulsive behaviors could be likened to the parable of the second arrow? Yes, thank you for bringing in the teaching of the second arrow, or the second dart teaching. So, it's imagine a little kid running along and the child falls on the ground and cuts their knee. That's the first arrow. And then what does that kid do? They get the gravel and rub the gravel into the cut. That's the second arrow. And that's what we do. So again, we can be triggered. We can be upset. Yeah. It's like somebody does something and we're really upset. And the first thing we do is reach for a cigarette. And I do that because that's what I used to do. It was a bit like, why did we smoke? I'd smoked over 40 years ago, but it was like, oh my God, something's happened. Let me have a cigarette. For some people, they might pick up a drink. For some people, they might turn on a computer. So again, we have to learn to stay with the first arrow. And this is a teaching for me, because just know that those of us who step into the heart seat of teaching, we're still evolving, okay? We're still evolving. I want you to know that I'm not separate from any one of you here. I'm still evolving. And I'll leave you with this because I have to go. My practice today is, how can I become comfortable with the uncomfortable? Okay. And that's for us, to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. And once we think we got it, we lost it, because once we're comfortable, we're going to become uncomfortable. And the problem is, those of us who have these addictive compulsive behaviors, we find it incredibly difficult to be uncomfortable. We know how to make ourselves feel pleasant. We know how to get the pleasurable experiences, but as soon as you feel pleasant and comfortable, it goes like the flash. So learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Okay. So I'll just end with the blessings and hand over to the team. May all blessings be yours. May all gods protect you. By the power of all Buddhas, may all happiness be yours. May all blessings be yours. May all blessings be yours. May all goddesses protect you. By the power of all Dharmas, may all happiness be yours. May all blessings be yours. May all gods, goddesses, and bodhisattvas protect you. By the power of all Sanghas, by the power of this community, may all happiness be yours. Ma Ho. Thank you.
Thank you, Vimalasara. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year. Okay, so yeah, it's always a challenge how to fill up the space after Vimalasara has ended talking. So I thought that I won't even try to, So we will do a meditation, and we will do a mantra meditation. And that means that we are going to be listening to mantra, and we are going to be listening to Maitri mantra. Vimalasara was talking about Maitri. So this can be also for those who are in the beginning of recovery, who don't find the compassion in themselves. Listening to mantras can be transforming. And this mantra is often chanted to remove negative energy, and it aids in the transformation of powerlessness into action and strength. So I invite you to settle into comfortable posture. And if you wish, you can close your eyes if it feels good for you. And just check in with your body. How is your body doing right now? Maybe feeling the weight of the body against the chair or the cushion or wherever you're seated. And if you notice any tension around your body, I invite you to allow for it to soften. And as I start playing the mantra from my computer, just checking in with your heart. How does it resonate with your body? How does it resonate with your heart? And if you wish, you can join in with the chanting, with the mic closed.
Om Maitri Maha Maitri Maitri Swaha. Maitri
Oh, that was weird. Hello? What the heck? I don't know what happened.
Maitri Swaha.
Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha. Om Maitri 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 Swaha.
And then starting to finish the mantra listening, mantra meditation, you can start moving your fingers, moving your toes. Maybe you want to roll your shoulders. And maybe there's a stretch that your body needs right now. Just checking in with your body. What is it that your body needs right now? And a few words about Dana to finish the session today. So your generosity can help to strengthen the recovery community and to grow the academy, and can be a practical expression of gratitude and metta. So we invite you to practice generosity and to give Dana in support of these teachings, to be shared with our teacher and with the Buddhist Recovery Network. And there is a link in the chat to give the Dana for the academy. And we also have a Facebook group. And when you join, please answer the membership questions so that you will be accepted. And there is also a weekly Buddhist recovery meeting. The type of the meeting changes weekly. You can check the schedule on the webpage using the link that is in the chat as well. And we will keep the room open for a while for links. I will also post the link for the mantra that we listened. It's always a little bit tricky over Zoom. So if you didn't hear it well, then you can listen to it. You can return to it later on. So thank you for joining us today. May the merit we have gained go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. May we all be happy. May we all be peaceful. May we all be safe. And again, Happy New Year to everybody. And next time we will have Mary Stankiewicz here with us, regular guest as well. So, and we will keep the room open for a few minutes. And